Everybody ready?
I got these microphones up here like I am.
Coach, just what do you see looking at the film back on last weekend's loss?
Looking at film on loss, missed tackles. A lot of missed tackles. A lot of fundamental things that we got to get right. And I think it's just we're waiting on somebody else to make the play. We're getting to the ball, but then guys are breaking through the stack or through the tackle and getting the extra yards, and you can't have that. You know, the play is there for whoever to make it. And so if we all get there together, we should game tackle together. That's the biggest thing. And so that's been one of the emphasis this week in our circuit drills that we do is more of the tackling aspect of it. Just making sure that when we fit, that we're holding on to guys and not giving shoulders and stuff like that. Y'all saw what happened to Shiloh, which, I mean, those rules is kind of a gray area because now it's not even just hitting above the helmet. It's if he's defenseless or not, you know. And so that plays into it. Think what you may about it, that's the game now. And so we gotta follow the rules. We gotta figure out how to fix that and get better at it. Agree with it or not, that's what the rule is. So, you know, we just gotta get better at tackling.
Does that surprise you after being so successful at it in the beginning of the season?
You know, yes and no, because with that call, it changes from game to game. Like you can see a game where it was totally legal, no one says anything. Then there's a game where a guy gets hit for targeting and he's put out the game for it. So it's one of those rules where it can change from official to official depending on how they see it and how they call it because of the gray area. And yeah, you get mad at it because I could pull up film from 2 or 3 games, same hit was clean, but in this game it wasn't. So you got to keep going.
Coach, Trevor Woods has been working with the linebackers the last couple of weeks. How's he been getting acclimated to the position and the guys?
Well, he did a little bit in high school, but he's a very instinctual player, knows a lot of football, high IQ, and it wasn't really a bad transition for him. I think his instincts more than anything and his ability to cover has been a help to us.
How is Juwan Mitchell doing?
Juwan's doing good. Now, the first game or two, it was speaking from a competitive aspect, where Brandon Gant, and then I had Demoy was coming in for him. But this one, he's got some things off the field he's got to handle. So Trevor Woods has been kind of filling in for him.
Do you remember kind of who sparked the decision to move Trevor from safety to linebacker?
Coach Prime. Coach Prime did. He came in the meeting, you know, he just said, how can we get the best 11 on the field? And he wanted to figure out a different way to use Trevor because he had like 3 picks early in the season, and you just don't want to take any of that productivity off the field, especially when we're facing teams that were going to spread us out and start passing the ball and doing a lot of RPO type stuff.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we've heard that Charles Kelly's defense is a little bit intricate. You know, how are guys coming along from just the mental side of things in terms of grasping that defense? Have you seen that improve as the season's gone along?
Actually, I have, and because a lot of the things that we're running now, we've been installing them and running them each and every game, so they've gotten better in that standpoint because of the reps of it all. But yeah, it's a very intricate defense. It has a lot of moving parts to it, but nothing they can't handle. I think what it comes down to is reps. Because if you look at it, you got all new kids in who are mostly from the portal, from different schemes. You have coaches in too. So it's like we're all freshmen together, which is not a bad thing, but that's just where you start from. And you start to see the acclimates of the defense and how good you can play it once you get more reps in, once you get more games in. And I think the last 3 games, the first half, teams have only scored like 3 points or 6 points against us, and so we're trying to build on that. We got to finish. The key is you got to finish. It's not what you do in the first half, it's how you finish the game. We got to get better at that. That's the emphasis.
Were you impressed with the resiliency at UCLA? I mean, you guys really, the defense kept the offense in the game late into that game. That was felt like another step for your unit.
Yeah, no, I was very impressed with it. I mean, I think everybody got some encouragement from it. I mean, we want to be dominant. We want to win, and that's our main thing. We lost that game, but could you take some good things from it? You could, and I believe everybody else did too. So I think you got to build on that. But then you go into another game and lose, and then you win. It kind of negates that fact. You got to figure out what are we doing wrong? What are the fundamentals that we got to get better at? And that comes from a coaching aspect to get the kids ready to play.
The coaching textbook, it's cliche. It says you lessen contact, you lessen the conditioning as we get into November and the body save the wear and tear on the body. Mm-hmm. Is that a tricky balance when you've got 2, including this one, that's why we asked, 2 of your most physical opponents in Oregon State and then Utah at the end of the month? You know what I mean? Like, how do you reconcile?
Very good question. That is a tricky balance. I mean, that's why now In the pro game, they do it very well, where you have thudding and you don't take anybody to the ground, and that's what you try to get your kids to represent and act exactly like they're going to be when they get to the pros. So, but it is very tricky because you get to a point, you play so many games, you play so many snaps, guys are banged up. You want to make sure they get to the game so we can have a successful game. So you have to monitor that, but then playing a team like that, when you have your full pad days, you got to get some thudding in. Usually what we do is we shorten the range of contact. So we're getting some physicality, but it's not from a distance where someone could really get hurt if they move the wrong way or tweak something. So that's what you try to do.
Do teams that run the ball have an advantage because of that this time of year?
No,
Okay.
I don't think they have an advantage. Teams that run the ball, I don't think so at all. I don't think that plays into it because you're still playing football and you got a lot of reps doing it early in the year and coming into it. I think it's just more of a thing where you try to lessen the impact for the kids who are playing hard for you and are banged up, that they get the reps and the technique and the mental things they need to be successful in the game.
Coach, you were pretty high on a lot of your linebackers coming into the season.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got a safety
Mhm.
playing over some of those guys. What's going on with like Marvin Ham, Demoy Kennedy, Brendan Gant that they're not getting on the field? I know Brendan was banged up a little bit, but what's going on with those guys that Trevor was playing ahead of them?
Well, I think what it is that, you got to look at defense as a puzzle. And when you look at it as a puzzle, all the pieces have to fit together. Linebackers, DBs, they're all my guys. And when one guy plays good, they all play good. And we all win together, we lose together. So what it is now, it's not just competition, but it comes into where you're playing chess and not checkers. You can keep the red on the red and the black on the black. You're playing checkers. We playing chess. You got to move pieces in different places. They got different angles, there's different strategies. So you try to play into that and make sure that you're not fitting to what a offensive-minded person who's scouting you thinks you're going to run, and you're actually being a little bit more competitive. And Trevor gives us that. He gives us another guy on the field, high IQ, instinctual, can play down in the box, but also with the empties. I know you've seen this. There's been a lot of FIB motions, meaning formation into the boundary. They motion them out, and they're going to empty, trying to get those matchups. So now by bringing a DB in that can play linebacker, you're better equipped for that. So that's what it is.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, good to see you guys. Thank you.